please share so I can share with Wendy. And then the other person I want to call out is George McDonald, who also worked with us in Washington, D.C. Went to get on an Amtrak train this morning, and his back said, "No, you're old." And so he had to go back home. So those are a couple of other people I kind of wanted to call out. I also want to call out Joy's family who's here, her brother Walter and her brother-in-law Walter, her lifetime partner Maggie, her good friends who are here. Just want to thank you all for coming, and of course the extended National Park Service family. And so I'm just going to say a couple of words about my friend. What do I say? So we were colleagues, and then we became friends, and then we became really good friends, and then a couple of times in our lives we actually were roommates. And most recently we were roommates last year when I first moved here to Pennsylvania. And my living situation had become, for those, some of you know, untenable. And so, temporary housing, hotels, it was not good. And I would spend the weekend sometimes with Joy, all masked up, 6 feet apart. And I went over one weekend, and she and Maggie said, "We think you should move in." And I'm like, "COVID, cancer, no." And they're like, "We're all doing the best we can. We're all trying to be safe. Here's the thing, Rose. If we're going to go down, we all go down together." And all I can think about is, the story when you hear about the plane that went down in Shakespeare, and they said, "Let's roll." And I'm like, okay, let's do this. If we're going to go down, we're going to go down together. And something about going through this last year together has made all of this tolerable. And so this gathering, again, is another example of bringing people together so that we can grieve together, buck each other up together, share stories, togetherness, because when you're together, it just makes it so much easier, right? And if we go down together. And there's even a sense of comfort in that. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Walter, Joy's brother, to say a few words about his sister, and then I'm going to open it up to others. I would like a representative from the Employee Engagement Committee to please come forward to say a few things, because we are so grateful for you.
On behalf of Joy's family, I just want to thank all of you who loved and cared for my sister. She was part of your family. She loved each and every one of you. And serving as a park ranger for the National Park Service was her life. She lived and breathed it. And this, having a tree planted here to her legacy, is a great gift that you're giving back to us. So I just want to thank all of you for that.
Thank you. So again, if someone from the Employee Engagement Committee would be willing to come forward. I would also ask that anybody who speaks, please feel free to take one of the ceremonial shovels and help us to plant this tree in Joy's honor. Anybody from the Employee Engagement Committee? Shy devils. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Please, Doug.
Hi, I'm Doug Blankenship. I was with the Bureau of Land Management for 45 years, and for 20 of those years, I worked with Joy. She and I launched the volunteer.gov website. We worked on a major training program called Conservation USA. We trained 5,000 Boy Scouts to work on 5 projects on 5 national forests. And the Conservation USA also worked with the Park Service down at the Summit Scout Reservation in West Virginia. She's a very dear friend. I affectionately call her my work wife, and I miss her terribly. God bless you, and God bless Joy. Thank you, Rose.
Thanks, Doug. Hi, everybody.
everybody. I know a lot of you. My name is Beth Mansfield, and when I first came to the Park Service in '91, I was interviewed by Mary Jenkins, who is not here, although she wanted to be, and by Joy. And I just celebrated my 30th anniversary on June 16th, and every day I've been so thankful and grateful to Joy because I feel that she's one of the big reasons why I got the position and had a wonderful career. I also just wanted to thank the Employee Engagement Committee and the gardening crew, particularly Dark Black, because I originally made the suggestion after going to Joy's viewing, and it was just a suggestion, and they made it happen, and they did such a wonderful job, and I think it's a great legacy and a great memorial to Joy. I also want to say that one of our other colleagues who's retired, but who knew Joy very well, said she always had a smile on her face. His name was Bill Parashow. He worked with her for a number of years. He said she always had a smile on her face. She always said hello no matter what division you worked in. She always remembered her name. She always said hello. And she was a wonderful programming assistant at the Franklin Court parties that they used to have many years ago in terms of picking the music in. And he misses her a lot. And I just wanted to thank everybody. I think it's a wonderful memorial to Joy. It's really good. Thank you.
Thank you. I know I'm looking at some interpreters out there, so I'm going to ask folks, please feel free to come forward and say a few words, share a memory about our friend and colleague.
I'm Eileen White. I worked in the regional office, and I met Joy, I don't know, probably, it could be 10 years. I'm not sure when she came back to the region, but I first met her at Steve Satarski's party, which was right over somewhere, right over here. And I was like, who's that? And because her personality just was amazing. And she would throw her hair back and that big smile, and I'll never forget it. And then when she came to the regional office, just how wonderful it was to get to know her. And that's what I'll always remember, her smile and her laugh. She had like the best laugh. So she's truly missed.
Rose just gave me the nod, so I'll share a few words. I'm starting to get a little emotional. I'd really like to thank the Employee Engagement Group for giving us a place to be closer to Joy. I was kind of lost when she passed, and I had trouble accepting it. I didn't know what to do in the days following, and I went to her timeline and I saw a picture of her at Longwood Gardens, and I'm fairly new to the regional office. Within 3 years, Joy and Joanne were the first people to greet me with hugs, which is just like the best way to enter a new job. But when I saw that picture of Joy at Longwood Gardens, I said, I'm gonna go there. I've never been. I'm new to the Mid-Atlantic, and that's a way for me to get closer to her, and to have a place in the city, in a national park, which we know was part of her identity, is just so special and the perfect tribute. So thank you.
Thanks, Joanne.
I'm Joanne Blakehouse. Who knows what mostly everybody here. And I was like, phew, I don't have to say anything. For some reason, this felt harder because it felt more like where I first got to know Joy. And so I love that your story about, everybody has a story about meeting Joy on their first day, and she was like, hi and welcome. And
Literally my first day.
I got to welcome Joy on her first day, and so she would tell the story of me taking I think I was pregnant, taking them up into the tower when we could do that, and hear the bell at the ringing 12 also brought back memories. And she's like, is it safe to be up here? And we're like, it's fine. But the thing about independence, and honestly, I knew I would see a lot of you here, is this really is a Park Service home. I mean, I can't tell you how many times Joy and I talked about what we learned here, for good, and sometimes bad lessons too. But all of it helped us in our career. It helped us navigate sort of the crazy world of bureaucracy and the crazy world of this agency where everybody feels so strongly about it. And it really is like a family. It's like, you know, I've known you guys for like, well, I just got my 40th in, which I was embarrassed to say. So I've known some of you for 30 or 40 years, so I said it. I was freaking out a little bit this morning about that.
No, not at all, Joanne.
So I'm starting to accept it. But really, this feels like home. This feels like home for Joy. We learned so much here. We learned here together. I got to work with Joy. I got to supervise Joy. I got to look for Joy when she was supposed to be at her duty station, and she was instead throwing darts downstairs in Franklin Court, and coaxed her back to her office. I mean, you know, she did that too. So she just was a really great friend. No matter where she was, when she was in Washington, it felt like she was just next door to us. So I know a lot of you also share those experiences with Joy. I love that you guys thought of this, that this is a tree that's going to last for a really, really long time, and it's a Washington Hawthorne, which is great too. So I want to thank the Alumni Association. I want to sort of thank everybody at Independence, because you really trained so many people in the love of history, the love of the National Park Service, and I know Joy helped to spread that love, and I know that I'll miss her all the time, but I do have I brought my little Joy that Dominic made, that I could carry a little piece of Joy with me all the time. So thank you, Independence, and I miss you. Thanks, God. You want to go? Yeah.
I'm Tom Rogers, and today I am acting superintendent. I'm an ex officio member of the Employee Development Committee. But I don't want to take away from what the real members did, all the hard work and the logistics, and Andrew McDougall, Sam Freeze, Matt Hess, and all the others. And it really started with Beth Mansfield setting that spark that got us all energized to make this happen. And I'm so glad we did. Everything about it feels right. So thank you, Beth, and thank you to the members of the committee.
Thank you all.
Again,
Everybody who did the work. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paula Petrella. I currently serve as the Associate Regional Director for Park Operations and External Affairs. I know a lot of you because I have been lucky enough to work at Independence in the past. I think I was here twice. So it's good to see a lot of you. And echoing everyone else, thank you all so very much for your thoughtfulness in pulling this together and giving us a space. Joy was so many things. She's one of the people I met when I came here as a youngster in the early 90s to work at Independence as an interpreter. And the coolest thing about Joy at the time to me, besides her huge smile and great personality, was she had that asymmetrical haircut. And it was like so cool, and I just looked up to her so much. And you know, as you move through your careers, Joy went on to go to Washington. I went to Valley Forge. We sort of separated and came back together probably about 10 years ago, or maybe a little less, when she came back to this region. And I've been lucky enough to work with her the last 3 years. So I miss her terribly. Her cube is 2 away from mine, and I could hear her laughing still as I sat there today. This is such a gift. Thank you all.
Another Joy story in Washington. We worked in a 12-story high-rise on the top floor. Joy and I like to take our morning break together, and we would go and get scratcher tickets and coffee. And so when we would get on the elevator, you know, maybe just the 2 of us, sometimes Wendy or George or somebody else, by the time we got to the first floor, she was exchanging phone numbers with somebody. Like someone would get on the elevator and she'd be like, "Ooh, I love those shoes, Zappos." And the next thing you know, conversation, giggling, tee-hee, numbers being exchanged, and I'm like, what just happened? This happened frequently, and I was annoyed, amazed, jealous, all at the same time. You know, like someone would go to get on that elevator, I'm like, and here we go. You know, like yet another friend that she will have by the time this elevator lands. And so, you know, that was sort of the magic of Joy. Just being her friend was magical. You know, a lot of crazy, magical things happened when we were together. We would often, again, take breaks in DC, and we would go to G Street because we would call it the magic of G Street, because for some reason, with regular frequency, whenever we strolled down G Street, someone was giving out something for free. I can't explain it. You know, hot dogs, ice cream, lollipops, lapel pins, you just never know. And so, you know, we often enjoyed the magic of G Street. G Street is where I was with Joy Pietschmann when we found out Michael Jackson had died. I just, you know, like it's just seared in my memory. And so I have just these frames of reference and points of reference with my little buddy that I'll just never shake. I'm also very fortunate that Joy's extended family, Walter and Maggie, allowed me to take from the apartment that we were sharing several little keepsakes to remind me of my buddy, especially stuff like kitchen implements. And so whenever I'm grilling, you know, I can think of Joy, and there's a skillet I use to think of Joy, and you know, some serving spoons I use to think of Joy, and some steak. I took a lot of stuff. I took a lot of stuff, and you know, Maggie's trying to keep me honest because we wanted to make sure I didn't get into shrine building. I'm kind of on the cusp with that, but I'm okay with that for right now. I will share also that I moved here because of Joy. I moved here from Boston. I took a job here because my buddy was going through cancer treatments, and I thought that my chosen path was to come here and get her healthy. You know, so I had a whole game plan, you know, with involving the Schuylkill River Trail. First of all, I was going to learn how to pronounce Schuylkill. and then, you know, we were going to start, you know, walking and riding bikes and strengthening exercises. And so I had a plan, and now I don't. But I'm here, so I got to figure it out. So again, I thank the Employee Association for helping me course correct and maybe get a little closer to whatever this new plan is supposed to be, because a large part of it is embodied by a tree, which I guess I could take a picture of and take it on the Schuylkill River Trail. I don't know, but I'll have to figure it out. But we've got a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to ask a representative from the family. Maggie, I can represent you in terms of the planting, and if someone else, maybe Frank or someone from the Employee Association, we can each grab a shovel and finish planting the tree, and then we can conclude. So, is there anybody else who would like to speak? Yeah, me.
Well, Joy and I have been friends for years, but what I just want to say to Alpha and Omega, she started here, she will be here. That's all I have to say before I... Oh, our slogan, Tits Ahoy.
Anybody else? Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right, if Walter, if you would join me, and could I have someone from the employee committee, please? And Maggie, here for us. Okay. Family Association. Surely one of you shy cats can toss some dirt. Okay, thank you.
Beth, you're more.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Okay, Walter, why don't you go ahead?
Anybody else? Feel free. That kind of concludes this. I really appreciate everybody coming out, and I know Walter is going to be here for a couple of minutes if you want to say hi to the family. Maggie will be here for a few minutes if you want to say hello, but I understand that many of you are here on your lunch hour, so I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rhoda.
While we do the ceremony, it's probably appropriate to call out the grounds crew who actually had to get the tree, had to get the dirt, had to dig the hole. So thank you, Derek, Brian, Tom, maintenance team. I talked about hard work earlier. Thank you.
Anyone else?
No, because it wasn't a good shot when I was this whole. Thank you.